Hi guys, it's me, Joseph Anderson again, and for this video that I will be dedicated to my birthday month in June 2026, I shall be talking about another movie which made me very happy as a young Joey. And yes, it's about another robotic creature, but this one is much more Earth-oriented. And I'm talking about the movie Short Circuit, the original Wall-E movie. And last year I talked about the sequel to this movie, Short Circuit 2. But this is the very first movie which involved a talking robot that was had a modicum of free will. Now, I gotta admit that even though there will be many type of comparison with other robots of fiction, this Johnny Five has a lot to do with the robot or android number 16 of Dragon Ball Z fame, because much like in that show, the android is a fully mechanical creature that that falls in love with nature, and it doesn't want to harm fly, much like Johnny Five. After he receives sentience from Bolt Lightning, he goes from being a military robot that was built for combat and bred for war. This then becomes more of a sentient creature that likes nature and, like I said, wouldn't harm a fly. In fact, in one sequence, he's like hopping around like a grasshopper, and he puts two and two together that when it gets killed, it cannot be revived. So he doesn't want that to happen himself. And so he goes on like a pacifist type run throughout the movie. And in the sequel where he tends to not want to kill anything. Like Android 16. And like Android 16, it's because of a major malfunction in his programming, where he thinks it's alive, but in the Dragon Ball Z show and manga, they portray it as more of a love of nature, more than the I think I'm alive type mistake. So this movie's like pretty interesting in that it's very similar to what you would experience when you're talking about like religion, like that God reached out and he touched Adam and made him into a living creature. You can definitely see, like with this, the image of a lightning bolt hitting Johnny Five is much similar to a Frankenstein parody or something like that, in which lightning generates a soul inside the character, inside the automaton. Let's say golem in the old Hebrew mythology. So anyway, I like this movie because of that, and there's also a picture of the Vesuvian or the Vitruvian Man of the Michelangelo type imagery with that suit on his person. So that's kind of like a trait for autonomy too. But anyway, let's get started with the making of this movie. So we start off with the credit sequence, which I gotta admit is actually pretty cool because it showed the mechanics and the inside of what goes into a Saint Number 5 robot, which I believe stands for Sentient Artificial Intelligent Nuclear Transport. So you could easily see that the sucker is nuclear. Now, that's kind of odd because they never bring up the whole nuclear power or nuclear weaponry on him potentially ever again in the whole double movie series. I don't know why they put that in there. Maybe they were trying to allude to the fact that their laser weapons on there are like real powerful nuclear accelerators. I can't say. But it is really funny that the warm-up for lasers are very similar to Ghostbusters proton pack technology. I find that very interesting to notice when I heard it. I was like, is this the sound from the proton packs? And he said, yes it is, but very shortened. So unless they might have either developed it separately or they probably just refined the Ghostbusters proton pack technology into laser form. Because it's actually pretty interesting that the proton packs are more like a laser, but it's more like a radical, randomized type stream of uncontrolled power and energy, and where this is more like a typical laser beam. So I guess they meant to refine it or something. So it's very kind of interesting to see that both these sci-fi franchises were to be related in some way, shape, or form. I would be really interested to see a good crossover type event where they were to make this movie canon with the Ghostbusters franchise. So in any case, you see these different parts of the robot being assembled together. It's actually really kind of interesting. I like to see all the knickknacks and all the doohickeys come together and make a giant war machine. Which, speaking of which, that's actually really funny. I'll get into that in a moment why that's funny. But we spent $11 million on making one of these things, one of these Sync robots, 1 out of 5 of them, which is kind of a global estimate because even if you don't take into effect that this was made in the 80s, so figure that $11 million back then was like say 10 times, like 5 or 10 times more than what it is now. It would still be a little more estimate because just the lower components of the robot itself would be somewhere around $10 million meant to make with low wheel capacity and all that. Especially with all the military hardware and stuff that we make today, that just seems kind of preposterous. It's like they picked a random number, let's say $20 million. No, that's too high. Make $11 million and make it about right. That should be about right. Because I hear that the budget for the actual robot itself, Johnny 5, that was somewhere like $1.4 million of a $15 million movie budget. So you could tell the main lion's share of the money went toward making this robot come to life. So it was really fascinating to see all the mechanical parts come together. And they also show all the tracks coming together. They show all the central computing unit come together. And they also until the eyepiece they come together and focus on stuff, which is very, very fascinating. How I used to try and make robots out of that type of technology and stuff using VCR that love that nature. So anyway, I find it very interesting that during the sequence they show what a Sync robot is and its eyes are made of. And it looks very similar to what we would expect for the human eye to be made of. Like a mechanical shutter type technology, like on an old camera in which your eyes focus and get smaller as you look at certain objects. But anyway, the only reason I bring that up is because later on when Stephanie played LECD, it looks at him in the dark and it's revealed to be Johnny Five. They actually show him with like with little mini flux capacitor in his eye, like a weird like Y-shaped thing in his eye, which I don't believe that we've ever seen that aspect of his eye shape in any other form, in any other media. Like when he's pissed off, or when he's really pissed off in the second movie, they show his eyes like camera shutters, but red, obviously. And they never show, what it's supposed. But they never show that Y-shaped in his eye again. Anyway, they show his arms, they show his tracks, they show his computer unit and stuff like that. And it's funny that if you take away his weaponry and stuff, which they show to be able to blow up tanks, they show to be able to blow up jeeps, all good military vehicles. But they can't blow rocks for some reason or another. But anyway, one thing I noticed when they show them doing the test and they show them blow up the various military vehicles, is that whenever they shoot the lasers at a military vehicle like a tank, they always shoot the tank treads or the weakest part of the whole vehicle. They shoot the tank treads, and for some reason that makes the whole thing blow up. So if they were to shoot the armor, let's say they were to, it might take a little while for it to burn through the armor, but in a tank, the treads are the weakest part, so therefore the mobility will be out the window, which is kind of weird. But it's the least armored part of the whole thing. The same with Jeep, same with every other thing that they shoot at. But anyway, they actually have, the reason why I say that these things will not be good, weapons of war, because they're slow, they're very easy to take out, they're very, weak to, melee weapons, as we see in number 2, and they just seem very awkward to move around. Besides the whole tank tread thing, they did seem too weak as far as structure goes. Like it's like knock them over if they got bad terrain, and the wheel in the back could be used against the whole thing, like it could be gummed up or something like that. And also, it seemed like it's very prone to being shot at by conventional weapons. So like heavy assault rifles and machine guns and stuff could take it out. And then later on it's shot by a missile. So it could be destroyed in that way. Plus it's very humanoid shaped, so it's very thin and very light. So if you get like a man with enough force behind him, he could easily, punch him out or restrain the robot. Plus, it can be defeated by mud and or ropes. Yeah, I don't know how much these things are thrown away, but if a rope can hang it upside down, it can easily be defeated by somebody else. It's very similar to the whole Ewok thing, in Star Wars, which they moved a bunch of like teddy bears for the most part. Get a bit of high technology, and I still can't remember AT Walker. No, AT are the big ones. The ATSTs, I think they are, the little chicken walkers. And by the way, in the back of the thing here, it's in the back of the DVD box, it says, from another reviewer, it says, a cockles of the heart-warming comedy not since R2-D2 has a mechanical matinee idol been so politically huggable. Yeah, there's that too. So they compare him to R2-D2. I think it's kind of a fair comparison and unfair comparison because in both this and the sequel movie, the movie is basically about Johnny Five experiencing life, getting more input, and living life as a mechanical thing. But in Star Wars, the movie wasn't set on C-3PO and R2-D2 and other things. They were just mainly side characters. Funny and likable, but still side characters nonetheless. Also, there's a part in the movie where the LGD as Stephanie actually dances with the robot. Now, this is kind of questionable to me because I'm sure they wanted to portray the robot as become more human and be more likable as humanity. But the thing is that I would never want to enter the robot like that because if you look at all of his type joints and stuff, they're all exposed. So therefore, that would mean a very big hazard as far as your flesh, your fingers, and your wherever your toes and stuff getting caught in the machinery, and that wouldn't be too pleasant. I remember one time I got my hand caught in the door when it slammed, and boy howdy, it hurt like a mother. In fact, my mother was the one that actually slammed the door on my finger by mistake. So I can only imagine what would happen if she got her hair caught in the joints, or a finger caught in one of the things, or one of the pneumatic whatever's on him. So that would be very unpleasant. On a side note, they played the song "More Than a Woman" by the Bee Gees when they were making this scene, which is very delightful. And watching the movie Saturday Night Fever, that's when John Travolta doing the little dance with to Sing Alive, and that was actually really funny. But I bet most people wouldn't probably know that. And also, he was also doing like imitant Johnny dances in the movie by doing he was trying to imitate that, but go up and down on the thing on his chassis, if you will. But it was it came off like doing that famous Christ, I can't think of it now. that weird Russian dance that the older performers perform, that classical Russian dance, and with the people that like squat and do their high dance. So that's what came off as. It was so funny and cute and stuff. Speaking of cute, Stephanie has a bunch of animals, including baby kittens and everything. Now, not to be graphic or anything, but I would imagine that if a mechanical thing, it's like a 6 tall mechanical thing with treads on it, came into the house with a bunch of kittens and stuff, I would be very cautious. Because number one, all the animals would be frightened to death that the new body in the house, a new mechanical thing would just creep the crap out of them. And also the sound effects from all the mechanical gizmos inside them would probably just get living geese out of them. Number two, for the animals that would dare to get close to it, like I said, the treads would be a big major hazard for them, as they can potentially get run over by them, and they could get the tails caught underneath the wheels, and they could get the legs crushed under the weight of the giant mechanical man. So yeah, I can speak from personal experience about running things over my own scooter by accident, of course. Running over the tails, running over human feet, and running over anything else that was too nonchalantly in my way. Of course, not on purpose. And then you got the jackasses that would just put their foot out in my way just to see if I'll stop in time to avoid collision, which is always a delight. But anyway, I have run over a few things in the past by accident. Even myself too, by accident, and it's not pleasant. So those animals in the scenes with Johnny Five must have been very well trained to respond in the proper accordance with the giant mechanical thing in their presence. Okay. There's also no actual footprint for him whenever he's on the rug or whenever he's in the mud or dirt or anything, which is kind of suspicious. Let's see here. No one's else. But back when he quit, this is something with death for a robot. He should not have a problem with taking out the guy's the ex-boyfriend's Trans Am car. It's something that, and may I add, the parts that he took out were in perfect condition with no scratch on them whatsoever. But it's okay because the car was alive. Unlike say Christina Herbie, and that would be interesting. You heard him screaming during the whole thing, during the whole distance summon part. But I guess it's okay because the guy was a prick when it killed Stephanie's dog and some of the medical research, which is no bueno. So anyway, I just kind of ruined half the movie before I got into it. But anyway, besides all the sequence freaking that I just did, there's also we get introduced to Steve Gutenberg, which is the same program's inventor and designer and creator, and his friend Ben J. I can't pronounce the name. It's played by Fisher Stevens. And from what I hear, I think of a white guy playing an Indian guy to be racist. Because my uncle had to do it, and every time that he does it, I always say, come on, go there, yes, stop it. So, but apparently, Indian people themselves are not bothered by this guy, because his accent is so good. So I guess it's okay. It's still a little annoying and a little unnerving that a guy like that would do portray an Indian person like this. Complete all the mistake in that idioms and all that like that. Whenever he says bingo, he says bimbo, and everything else was that. So anyway, Steve Gutenberg plays Newton, which I'm sure probably just a clue on the name Sir Isaac Newton, for example. And let's see, there's also and he plays a character that's like socially awkward, very nerd-like. Obviously, he's very socially inept. And the thing is that he programs his robot excellently, to the point that when one robot day does like the piano playing robot hand, and then he told the robot to give the finger to somebody. So that's real funny. It's childish somehow, but it's funny. Also, after they had the robots test them out and destroy the military vehicles and stuff, they show them actually making the president of Nova Robotics company, Harold, played by Austin Pendleton. They have given the guy gin and tonic cocktail. Something that I would like to try. How is that? So anyway, they program them to do military stuff, destroying and killing stuff, but with the added twist of being able to do stupid things, like making gin and tonics and playing the piano and waiting tables and giving people drinks and food and stuff at a big party. So we also got this character called Schroeder, which is basically a general type character, like from remember Mars Attacks? Remember that the general that we have to go up to them, we have to kill them, we have to destroy everything, we have to use the nuclear option and all this to kill the aliens. Even though that was a big joke to some Martians. But it's like we have to destroy these things. We have to destroy all the robots before this guy gets real and kills a bunch of innocent people and everything. Because so they get to play him. G.W. Bailey. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he's the guy who played the hard-ass police chief from the Police Academy movie. Another movie series with Steve Gutenberg. So that was really funny that he played the same type of hard-ass guy who's always ultra military, who always wants to kill things before he asks questions. So that's really good, funny. And anyway, they have they have them like in like a APT vehicle and armored personal carrier vehicle, and that's like his signature vehicle. Whereas most army men they use like say standard jeeps, like really jeeps, and so he's special because he's a commander. And anyway, the setting for this little masterpiece is like Washington State, Oregon, and then Little Montana, which they go to Montana to escape the evil Nova Corporation. So anyway, let's see here now. They have the 5 robots testing them out, giving them drinks in front of the other people watching it and stuff. So once they end up passing all the tests with flying colors, they show that there's going to be inclement weather, meaning that a rainstorm, a thunderstorm. So it's funny that these things are built for combat, bred for war, but yet they can handle bad weather. Seems like a big problem with design features. I guess that and mud too. So anyway, one of the robots, number 5, is still plugged into the recharging unit outside. I can see 100 things wrong with this situation. I mean, why would the charging unit be outside? I mean, if I charge my phone outside, that's a recipe for disaster right there. And sure enough, when they get a lightning hit, the lightning strike does go into the transformers. And then from there, the power surge goes into number 5. And then go, whoopee, yahoo, yippee, all live and that kind of thing. But we don't know that right away. So, he ends up going into worse with the others. And the others are more like robotic and stuff. Obviously. The thing is here, a little bit of a weird thing with number 5, in that when he goes into indoors, he follows the same path as the others, but he more how should I put this? He glitches out whenever he moves around, to the point that he like hits the wall multiple times, and then goes into the garbage truck and all that, and he carried out like waste in like big barrels and stuff, and nobody sees this whatsoever. Nobody realizes that he's out until it's late. So it's really funny that no one sees this. You know, you see big barrels of waste and stuff, and then trucks don't get checked up on, and then they end up going outside and everything. And you clearly see something's not right there with a robot-shaped thing in there. And even at the front gate, they don't check garbage. It's just anything being smuggled out. You know, they're working like this really complicated, really sophisticated thing in the research department. You'd think that they would have like multiple checks and balances and all that other stuff too, from getting out especially with a very powerful laser device on it. So anyway, they showed the John 5 getting out and escaping and stuff, and then enjoying like nature, like Android 16. Even with a butterfly, the extra him trying to pet like a wild butterfly with his hand. And that's actually really special. So anyway, he ends up going into Stephanie's food truck, which by the way sounds really delicious right now. In fact, I've been putting up making a video about a special food truck in Kingston for Mexican food. And boy, is it very delicious. Near a gas station I'm gotta go to. Near Valero gas station. So anyway, he's over there, she finds a big plug on the top of the truck. And it's funny. You would think that this thing being heavy and stuff like that would make a dent in the roof of the truck, which without the decoration on top of it, the advertising of Stephanie's food vehicle, it looks a lot like the Step truck from Sweet Tooth or Twisted Metal. Well, that's something too. Could have been an influence to the game. But whatever. That's a bit of a stretch. So anyway, they have him escape, and they have like a tracker built into it and stuff. Now, this is kind of a little creepy thing I noticed, even when I was a kid. That number one, whenever you said the word Nova, it's like a big freak out. Like, the government's coming to get me. Nova is getting kind of like E.T. And whenever they have that in it, it scares me everywhere. Nova. And then also whenever they have them tracking, it'd be easy to have like a little boop on a map or a circle on the map indicating where number 5 was. But no, they do like a weird it's like they have like a kind of hard to describe. It's more like it's like a little mini Saint robot in profile, but then they also have you have like a little a laser beam that runs around it, so you never actually see it all at once. The robot, you see like a little shine light of it, kind of like, more or less. So it's kind of like the signature get from the movie Congo when they showed the little outline of the big gorillas. I don't know, it's kind of like creepy, more or less, for a little kid. So anyway, they have to send Newton and Ben to get this robot, in which they would be a little more socially aware of the surroundings stuff. They're like, ooh, girls, they have legs, they have a nice legs, they have things booties and all. They kind of remind me of a little adult version of Beavis and Butthead, with the way they were talking about women. I mean, this is back in the 80s, but still I would imagine to be at least one woman scientist over there. When Think Nation, that was a female. they could say like, "Oh, you want to go out with me or something?" No, they got creep out on this. It's kind of annoying. They kind of gives nerds like myself a bad name. Which, by the way, I've recently seen a bunch of videos and shorts of somebody that actually either recreated or bought a replica of Johnny Five, and they were going on like train stations with this robot, as well as with at like conventions and stuff. And one with with Steve Gutenberg himself. So it was like, holy shit! I know you from that movie in the 80s that I saw you. They did a good job. And then they also had him racing with a person in a wheelchair, and the person in a wheelchair won. So yay for that. So anyway, I gotta say, after all these years, Johnny Five looks a hell of a lot better than Steve Gutenberg. I know that's just a stupid machine and a robot, but still it looks a lot better than the guy does. So anyway, they show it's definitely really thinking that this robot is a giant it's a big an alien, which, if you ask me, that could be very possible, because a robot could be an alien, or vice versa. So she's not technically wrong with that. But then they had to show her get into an argument with her boyfriend and stuff, and then she came over the bat. Now, I like Ali Sheedy in this performance because she's cute and likable, very naive, thoughtful when it comes to Gen 5. But she puts on weird faces when she's angry at her ex-boyfriend, and she is very charming in the same way Johnny Five is. So anyway, if she warms up to the guy, and he makes her like breakfast, I wouldn't touch it. Anything made by a robot. Sorry, Bender, but I wouldn't want to eat anything prepared by a robot. My racism against robots. So anyway, this show is obsessed with getting more information, like a little kid, more input, and she actually gives them an encyclopedia, and they just, I want more. So she shows them all the encyclopedias on the bookshelf, like, but you read everything that I produce, that I have in the place in my house. That's really fun, because you can't buy encyclopedias anymore. The internet and with mobile phones and all that kind of made them obsolete. So this is kind of like this movie is like kind of like a window into a foregone age. So anyway, they show this, and they show that he's become more human, kind of like Frankenstein, where he gets more information, more languages, more input, and becomes rather charming. That, and also, for the same matter, remember what I said about the whole, that they manufacture him, and they only manufacture 5 of these robots at a time. Well, I like the fact that when they make the robots, they actually give them like expressions, like really real articulate expressions, like with the eyebrow flaps, with the eyes, with their mouth, with their whole body and stuff. Very expressive robots. Much more into I don't get shit for this, but much more expression into the Iron Giant which has no eyebrows, because when he was bored and when he was tired and all that, which for a robot was kind of weird. But anyway, they have weird stuff with his facial features. And then they also show him dancing with Stephanie, doing the up lower left thing around the elbows. I'm sure there's kind of just one story out there where the puppet or the robot actually ran over a few cattails. So anyway, they also show when they missed a golden opportunity for J5 to actually do the robot dance. That would have been really funny, or the safety dance or something. But no, he just takes he does like a spin dance with Stephanie, as well as doing the big backward Stephanie, the backward bending and forget here. And they also have guys Ben and what's his name, Newton actually become more social with Stephanie, trying to talk her into it, and giving up the goat with J5, Giant 5 and such. And they believe that he's experiment malfunction. Well, this guy had more soul than a human being would. He's nice and everything. So, let's see, well, moving along with this, they actually show, him actually interacting with Stephanie and getting more human, and then showing him getting with it, jumping up like a grasshopper, which we never actually see in any other part of the movie, him jumping up and stuff. Kind of awkward to actually see that. Maybe with some jet boosters or something on his person. But anyway, they show him squashing a bug. The bug, actually. And they put together that doing that means death. And that death equals this symbol. So you're like, no, don't send me back over. Because this symbol me and they'll make sure where it makes me taking all that off. So that's actually really fascinating. And what's also really fascinating is that in the second movie, in Short Circuit 2, Fred refers to Giant 5 as a giant metal grasshopper. You probably didn't come up with that reference, but that part was a reference to this scene in the movie. So anyway, I find this highly questionable because to jump on top of a grasshopper and crush him is kind of a once in a million shot. Like, I can't do it if I was trying to run him over or trying to stomp on a grasshopper. So to do that with I don't believe it in the movie. I think that grasshopper would just hop away or hop under something or get away from it with a fence or something. So to be able to do that with a 100-pound war machine would be impossible. Now, also another thing that's impossible is the fact that Johnny 5 can actually I should put this that Michael Jackson point that he does with his feet, where he just goes on his toes and moves around like that. Yeah, he can do that with his tread too. And I could imagine that being a whole pile of technological problems if that really did occur, where I could never see that happening in real life. That was a real robot, especially on a battlefield with a million things blowing up and grenades going off and everything else happening to this thing. So I can't see that happening in real life. But because it's a movie, it's okay. So anyway, at one point, Frogger sends out 3 remaining robots to try to catch Johnny Five to bring him in, because he sees that Newton and Ben can't do the job properly. So he tried to send the war machine to get him, while the humans are busy with other things, remaining up and everything. So it's really funny. These are mechanical nuisances that want to take back on their own. So it'd be a pretty good fight. But first of all, he gets shot by the laser by one of the robots, and he ends up backtracking while holding a big rock to try to defuse, I guess, use up his ammo or something like that, and he ends up putting him into a porta potty, and then from there he can deactivate him. But it's funny when he does that, he's like, they go with the bowls. And before I forget, the voice of Tim Blaney is actually the one that provides the voice for Johnny Five, as well as many other childhood figures like Frank the Pug from Men in Black. Anyway, they do a real good job with all that. And I find it interesting that Johnny Five gets this weird, high-pitched voice from when he comes alive and stuff to the robotic, must destroy Saint Number 5. And that's actually real funny. Especially in the second movie when Johnny Five says, "Ooh, I'm really pissed off. Oscar, you will not get away." So anyway, to show him going into the poor potty being covered in shit. And it's really funny that this would defeat this thing, this war machine. So anyway, it's really funny because even though these are technological advanced machineries and all that, you can't help put in a pie joke in someone. I mean, a literal pie joke, because the robot, when he slammed into the pie, he said, do not light a match. Meaning that it probably blew up in his face, quite literally. And then they actually show Johnny Five actually throwing mud into the face of another robot. Now this might sound kind of stupid for a robot to defeat another robot, but if you ever try to do with electronics, especially when they were either smoked out or covered in mud or some other type of viscous liquid, is that they glitch out. They're very hard to control. They're very stubborn and very delicate unless you clean them out properly. So this actually makes sense. And then they had this one where he ended up hog-tying this robot by a big tree and hanged them upside down. Well, Johnny Five actually deactivates him. So anyway, this is really funny. And he reprograms them into Three Stooges. And it was the whole flopping around and the eye poking, that kind of thing. So, what's really funny is not the Three Stooges personality input into these robots, but the fact that when he had them all staying in a row, or like, deactivating it, so probably ashamed that they were taken out by such a rookie, stupid, manner, that actually showed all three of them with horrible and embarrassing facial, expression on their face. One's really pissed off. The other one's got like weird, angry eyebrows. It's just so funny, so expressive. Be like if Medusa were a real thing and she turn you into stone, like make all kinds of weird faces or weird O faces, for example. That would just be so funny. And so help. Anyway, they show all this, and then they show them going to Schroeder and being like, this is what you got, this is what J5 was able to do, all of it. So, in the meantime, Newton's been told this by Stephanie that Johnny Five is alive, and he's artificially he's showing off his artificial intelligence by making jokes, like showing how to drive, all this other stuff. So it shows that he's not just being programmed to like certain things and be a certain way. He's actually taking that and running with it and creating new solutions to these detrimental problems and make comedy. So Newton decided to tell number 5 a joke about something. So he ends up finding it funny and then laughing at his little bolt off. So anyway, then he put to the point of view that this character is real alive, that he's real got artificial intelligence, that he's learning at an exponential rate. And yes, they do that thing where they do the fast read on a book type of thing, which I would be very interested to see what would happen if you ended up plugging into the internet and learning everything. You know about everything from the internet. Probably blow a bit something in his face. So anyway, that'd be real funny. Thank you. My God. Yeah, also, I like the way they show that Newton and Ben are more of a technological, type side to this whole story, whereas Stephanie is more the nature quality of everything, living in peace, things out, being next to nature, where they are more technologically based. And then like Schroeder and Harold being more of a military applications to the same program. And it's kind of to get nature versus technology fight. And in this case, nature wins. And then at the end, Schroeder gets like a 1-up on Johnny Five, and he's like you're hidden in his truck after Johnny Five removed the tracking device from the truck where he was in, and he took it into a passing old couple's truck. and then they were like, stop, your government property and stuff. So it surrendered after being surprised by it. So in any case, they end up trapped in Johnny Five in this whole car, in this Nova truck, after being on the land for 2 days now. And it was like, illegal free and stuff. No weapons, no nothing. That's a lot because Johnny Fight makes you big for it. And he gets, when we first realized that he might make it out, then the helicopter comes a little bit, then the Kingdom come. But we also realized that with this robot, he also create other robots out of his own spare parts, that were in the truck. So it's revealed that he was just sitting around as a decoy. Another aspect of artificial intelligence, I guess. So he's revealed to be on the bottom of the truck, which doesn't make sense because if you look at the outside shot of the truck, they never actually show any treads or anything that were under the truck to be Johnny Five. But anyway, that's he's able to get away scot-free because the army thinks that they destroyed the real number 5. Meanwhile, it was just decoy, like I said. Anyway, before I go with this little video, I gotta say that when it comes to the religious aspect of Johnny Five, with like the Latin attack stuff, I think that you can also extend it to be more of a Johnny Five is more like a quote unquote mechanical Jesus Christ, because he was inspired by a lightning bolt to become alive, and he was also inspired to become a humorist. For example, when he says to one of the other Saint robots, he says, "Yo, laser lips, your mama was a snowblower." This is actually really funny. But also, after being deactivated and taken in by Ben into custody and then taken out to Nova Robotics again, he was like, I should put this on. He resurrected himself a little bit. He was able to move his Tom Cruise eyebrows and activate the rest of his body by dropping a wrench on his belly button activator, which by the way was a very poor choice in design for this supposed war machine, because any enemy or any type of bad guy could easily reach down and deactivate the robot himself. Besides being unwaterproof. And so anyway, he can also repair himself too. Much like I'm sure Jesus Christ probably killed himself and probably killed others. He was able to repair himself with like net damage parts and all that. So he was like very much like the saint that he like to be. He could destroy stuff with his giant laser beam, which was deactivated for the second movie, and he could also access other stuff using his little, I don't know what you call it, a multi-tool type thing on this person, and it also fly, and let's see, also drive a car. I know that Jesus Christ didn't have access to cars, all that. Could also jump. Could also do everything that a human could do, pretty much. And would learn at a geometric rate. Well, they call dance a woman. Girls will make love happen between Stephanie and Newton. Anyway, I do funny that Newton even had a place in Montana where he could have like 4 acres to hide the robot and keep Stephanie animals in happy and all that, much more than what she had in Oregon. And let's see what else there. Yet I have a little problem with this dance sequence, in that all of Stephanie's clothes are okay and intact, and it would that with a mechanical face like Johnny 5, if it was a real robot, there'd be more of a tears in her clothing. I mean, not to be graphic or anything, but I would think that, well, with this, all this stuff, it would get snagged and caught in the actual gears and joints and stuff. So that'd be a real mess to take care of. Oh, let's see here. Self-repairing and self-lubricating. Also, in the next movie, they show Johnny 5 actually making duplicates of himself like that, like 1/8 the size of himself as a toy. So that could be they kind of like a GC power. Well, let's see. But like I admit, for a movie that came out in the mid-80s, 1 year after I was hatched, this movie is actually really charming and really endearing, very funny at times. I love Johnny 5. I would like to meet Johnny 5 replica, because it's really cool. And also, there are many pop culture references in this movie provided by Johnny. In particular, part where he says about Campbell soup needed for a good, healthy soul. And I don't know if this is anything specific, but they actually foreshadow the next movie happening in New York City, because Johnny 5 opens up a map of New York, of the metropolitan area. So that's actually real funny, real cool. Easter egg. So let's see here. And also, I could swear to God that in one of the scenes with Johnny 5 getting and stuff, they show him inclination for. I'm not gonna say that that's definite, but I'm gonna say that I think I noticed that. So this is real good. This movie is real awesome. I would like to hail Circuit and Johnny 5 for creating Robot Jesus Christ. All hail Johnny 5. I surrender to you. This movie is awesome. It should be watched. It should be well known. As for the idea about making a sequel, making a more modern remake, fuck no. This movie is perfect as is, and the sequel is perfect as is. I do not want to see another more modern version of Johnny Five. I do not want to see a more modern take on this story because it's perfect as it is. It's charming and it's wonderful as it is. The music sounds dated and the sound effects kind of dated except for the proton pack thing. That's classic. And this blows Eva from Ex Machina out of the water. I'm sorry, but you gotta see that. And yeah, I highly recommend this movie. And thank you for watching my video on classic Short Circuit from 1986. The movie is awesome, it's great, it's spectacular, it's stupendous. It's good that Johnny Five actually gets away from the technological nightmare that the same program was created for. And go off into the sunset with Newton and with Stephanie to be able to run around with the wildebeest in Montana. And it was really nice to see that they returned in the second movie to help Ben find love. Because that romance was with Newton's. Now it's time for Ben to find love. This movie is charming, it's great, it's funny, and I wish that more people knew about it. But thank you to YouTube for actually showing this movie on occasion free on it. It's not available now for download for viewing or anything, but it's still pretty funny. And I love the way they show everything gets free from the mechanical violence of being a war machine. Like show them the thing like Arriba, Epa. And this definitely goes into the whole mechanical man being created by man and getting a spark of life from God, and then becoming artificially intelligent, and then becoming its own individual thing where he becomes alive, and he becomes C2PO where it's cold to finish. And he's always saying that number 5 is alive. Number 5 is real alive. And he's doing it in theory. So I did this for my birthday month in June of 2026. I'm sorry I didn't do this one first, but I just saw the first one, the second one first. And yeah. I did this for my birthday month, June in 2026. So obviously, I give this one a heavy face seal of approval. Because this movie is awesome. And given that Ben and Johnny Five had such a good connection that helped create the character, it was more like it was more proper that they called Yard in the next movie, because I heard that the word Yard in Hindi or Sanskrit or something means friend in Hindu, right? In Hindu society or Indian society. That was actually really good. I didn't know that at first. But anyway, this movie is pretty awesome. And what you see here anywhere more on my stuff on my channel. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can also, contact me for future information on videos by call me or text me at 631-707-3707, or you can follow me on Twitter or X at PMeltonPro. And my email is jjviewingchannel@gmail.com. So, everyone likes this sci-fi from the 80s. This movie is yet a gem. It's a platinum movie. It's excellent in every way, shape, or form. You know, if you ever want to see any good movie with like robots in it, this is the perfect movie for you. And the second one too. So the performances are pretty good. The boyfriend is good too, we know. Even though he does try to take out Stephanie and the dog and Johnny Five, which I don't like the fact that this mechanical man that's got laser and he's built for war and that kind of thing, but he can be taken out by crowbars and melee attacks. That something doesn't quite add up with that. Unless it was just meant for long range combat. So anyway, I salute Team Blade for providing the voice of this character, and happy trails. And peace out, my brothers and sisters. I'll see you in the next video. All you girls and guys in internet land. Oh yeah, your mama was a slumber. So konnichiwa and sayonara. Hasta la vista. So long.